Support WrestleTalk!
Give us a subscribe.
Holy moly, what a takeover! I'm Ollie Davis, this is Luke Cohen. Welcome to this special extra WrestleMania weekend edition of the WrestleRamble, where we are reviewing NXT TakeOver New Orleans. And I'm just going to take this moment, I've been thinking about it on the way here. Thank you, Triple H. Thank you, man. Cheers, man.
Should we give a little cheers with our tea?
Give a little cups of tea cheers. This is for you, Triple H.
Cheers, Hunter.
Nice one, Trips.
Nice one,
Trips.
That was awesome.
I've been thinking, because we speak about NXT sometimes and we say, but it's a product targeted towards wrestling fans. And there's always the and ah, will it translate to a mainstream audience in the way that Raw and SmackDown does? Maybe you do need that element of patronising the viewer and wacky, stupid soap opera level angles to make it work for the majority of people to be the juggernaut that WWE's main roster is. But watching this show, I was just, by the end of it, I thought, no, this is perfect wrestling storytelling, and there's many examples of why. We'll get into them. And to me, this is like Marvel, where and yes, I know I'm making another Marvel comparison. So does Mauro Ranallo on the show.
I was about to say, Ranallo made a great one in this first match.
And it's when Marvel strike that sort of phase 2, phase 3 tone of perfect 4-quadrant television, or movies rather, and storytelling, where it's just everything is on fire, it appeals to the vast majority of people, and it all makes sense. It's just quality that appeals to everyone. And that's when I think I cannot, even my lady partner got sucked into it, and her friend who was staying over.
Wow.
Yeah, for a few bits, not all of it.
Yeah.
But that's the level of how good this show is. This was not just a good wrestling show, this was a good show. You can put this up against freaking Sopranos, The Wire. This is brilliant drama.
Well,
thank you, Triple H.
I've seen a lot of people on the old Twitter machine this morning saying that it was probably the best takeover ever. And the more I think about it, the more I'm like, yeah, maybe it was. You and I watched it slightly differently. You watched it this morning.
I've literally come from it. That's why I'm so buzzing.
You're so buzzing. I accidentally ended up watching it live.
Yeah, so how do you accidentally stay up till 4 in the morning?
Well, because my wife is away because I'm working this weekend, so she's gone back to her parents' house. And so I had the evenings for myself, and I was like, I'm going to have a little cinema trip. So I took in a double bill cinema trip. I went to go see Blockers, the new comedy movie starring John Cena, which is very funny.
Cool.
And then I watched A Quiet Place, the John Krasinski directed horror movie, which is very scary.
Why did you watch that by yourself when you're going back to a home by yourself?
I genuinely felt myself trying to be quiet as I was walking back to the car. It was very good, very atmospheric. But then I got home, and then by the time I'd ordered some pizza to eat on my own because I'm on my own, so I'm going to have pizza and some various sides.
Bloody lad
that I am. And I had a couple of beers, and I was watching the Impact Lucha Underground show on Twitch, and I was watching that, and then I suddenly realised, I think TakeOver's starting soon. I might I'll tell you what.
What time was that? In
1 o'clock.
In BST.
1 o'clock BST. So 1 o'clock AM. So I thought, do you know what I'll do? I'll grab my laptop and I'll watch the first match. I'll just watch the first match and then I'll go to bed. And then,
how do you turn it off after that?
Well, exactly. After the first match, I was like, oh, man, I had a couple more beers, I had a glass of wine, I had some vodka cokes, and I was just
You mixed it.
I did mix it a little bit,
I'm
yeah.
surprised you're this conscious
so Copus
today.
Mentis today.
Yeah.
But that's why I needed the tea. But I was just, every time I was like, I'll just watch this match and then I'll go to bed. But then it was like, oh, coming up next, it's the triple threat tag match. And I'm like, oh, maybe, I'll just watch that one. Coming up next, it's Aleister Black versus Almas. And I'm like, oh, God. Well, I've made it this far. I may as well watch bloody Ciampa Gargano at this point. But what a show. Just, it's, even though I was very tired, I never felt at any point like it was 4 o'clock in the morning and I'd been awake for hours and hours and hours. I was buzzed. I was just so excited by everything. I was popping huge. I was on my own. Because I had my laptop on my lap, I couldn't. I nearly jumped out of my seat when Aleister Black won the title. Wow. I was so excited by that finish. And people who are following me on Twitter, my Twitter is just Black wins, Black wins, Black wins, Black wins. Oh, God, I was so excited throughout this whole show. Spoilers. Yeah, I think anyone watching this show is probably
the tweet. a twit. But if you are on Twitter trying to avoid NXT spoilers while NXT's going on, then maybe you are a bit of a twit.
So, but I mean, overall thoughts, this was just an incredible show from start to end. I loved everything.
It's just, you know what? I wouldn't say it's the best takeover ever, but I would say it is the most high, like, match quality and just storytelling and everything else. It is the highest level across the board for the entire card. I thought I mean, let's get into it. So
I'll be honest. My first note, you say that we should thank Triple H. My first note is like, this is such a Triple H opening because you've got a metal band playing a live entrance, and it's all just skulls and metal music.
Yes.
I'm like, this is such a Triple H show.
So maybe that might be some. Actually, everything I said before, maybe that is something that might have to be changed a little bit for the mainstream appeal. It's I'm fine with a bit of Flow Rider every now and again.
Oh yeah, shake it up a little bit.
I'm not.
No.
So, Velveteen Dream, EC3, Ricochet, Lars Sullivan, Killian Dane, and Adam Cole
Baby
kicked off the show with a 6-way ladder match for the NXT North American Championship, of course, to become the inaugural champion of this new belt.
The historic first ever.
But nothing annoyed me on this show. There wasn't anything where I thought, screw you, WWE.
That's because Ronaldo sounds genuine when he says it, and McGuinness sounds genuine when he says it. Even Percy Watson mostly sound like Percy very like what I like about Percy Watson on NXT commentary is he doesn't say a lot, and that's not me. That's not me being a dick and saying like, oh, he just keeps quiet and that's great. Just shut up, you're not very good. He only pipes in when it's needed. He's like when he's got something to say, he adds it into the conversation. He doesn't feel like when Booker T was on commentary and it was all like, I've got to say something. Percy Watson waits until it's his spot and then he says something.
Yeah, it's mainly Mauro and Nigel talking, and then Percy Watson will say something. Although he did laugh at a crutch shot in the main event. And I thought, now is not the time for laughter, my friend. Don't sell it like Corey Graves selling a Braun Strowman beatdown of someone. But we'll come on to that.
Yeah.
First out was EC3. This was when my lady partner and her friend were still in the house. They were off to a dance class.
Wow.
Because they didn't want to be around wrestling. Although when EC3 came out, the room got a bit interested.
Oh, yeah.
Good grief. I've read my first note before the girls even said anything. EC3 looks freaking incredible. What a body. I am hard for EC3's body. It's just like... It's like an action figure.
Yeah.
Where they've on purposely made him beefier and put a few more muscles. He's a Rob Liefeld drawing.
I was going to say he looks like an action man.
Yeah.
But yeah, he does look like... That's a much better example. He looks like a Rob Liefeld drawing. He looks like Rob Liefeld's Captain America.
Yeah, and Lars Sullivan is Jack Kirby creation. Let's just create the entire NXT roster of comic book images.
Yeah.
So my lady partner pointed out he's very oily. And he's got jiggly boobs.
Aww.
So when he was walking along, he's so muscly. His boobs were just jiggling. They're all vanity muscles. I doubt they would help you in a fight. But my God,
he look
good.
He looks jacked.
He looked the part, and he's like, his body looks incredible. It is a body industry, so that is going to go a long way. His facials, though, that's what I love about EC3. He is so expressive and goofy. He's got like Kurt Angle levels of being able to still be threatening somehow, but also be goofy at the same time. Very hard balance to strike.
And great entrance music as well. What I like about the entrance music that they've picked for EC3 is in that sort of the same way that his Impact theme was. It's one that you can, like, people will know and they can sing along with and really enjoy. But it's not a really elaborate entrance like Bobby Roode or Shinsuke Nakamura or Finn Balor or anything like that. It's just he has an entrance, but with a really kick-ass song that people can sing along with and get into. I think that's a really smart thing. It's a really great gimmick they've got for EC3 here. Massive pop for Adam Cole.
Well, he got the biggest pop, really, of the match as well, with a spot in the middle.
Absolutely, yeah.
And Lars Sullivan's entrance screen had an error message.
It did indeed,
on the bottom right.
I
thought that was was that part of his thing? Because he's like a video game, like it's like Rampage has just come out the screen.
The other thing I want to say about Adam Cole as well, and like one of the other things I really like about NXT, which I think is probably a Triple H directive. Adam Cole wasn't doing his usual entrance. he wasn't doing his like bending down and doing the Adam Cole baby, because he's got to pull double duty. So he's got to perform in this ladder match here and then defend the tag team titles later. So he was just showing signs of concern of being like, I've got to survive this so I can have the match later on. And that's really good. Like, it's people aren't just. I hate it when you got a blood feud. I haven't had a lot of sleep. A blood feud. But people do their normal entrances anyway. I just think it's really goofy.
Yeah, he's got to survive here so he can sit at the side for the next match.
Exactly.
And Ricochet,
tough,
Ricochet got a huge pop when he came out. Really over right from the get-go.
Yeah.
So I have written a page and a half of notes.
I've got so many
notes. It is just incredible spot after incredible spot, and all connected with really nice storytelling and feuds weaving throughout. So the main feuds running through it are Dane and Sullivan. They're the two big, how do you say it? Behemoths who keep on going to fight, but then they're taken apart by all the others. Very similar to the Big Show Mark Henry feud from WrestleMania 25. The feud in their Money in the Bank match. And they'll
was it Big Show? Kane,
sorry, yeah. Generic big man. And they'll start to like go against each other, or maybe you've done a big move, I'll do a big move on someone else too, and it was that only paid off at the end when they started striking. And then you had Velveteen Dream against Ricochet. That's something that's been built up on Twitter by Velveteen Dream, and EC3 and Cole initially working together, which was a really nice partnership, but then when EC3 did his EC3, baby. The crowd booed him.
Yeah, I know.
That was amazing. Because, I just thought they'll do it like a call and response thing. They booed, and that's when Adam Cole was like, that's my spot, mate. And he took out EC3, and then he did a super kick party.
Yep, a pure super kick party.
Yeah.
And with each super kick, the crowd got louder and louder and louder.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so good.
And at the end of the super kick party, that's when he goes, Adam Cole, baby. That was the loudest pop of the match.
Yeah, it really was.
The second loudest of the night, I would argue.
Yeah, it was just... this match was great. Like, everything in it. It's almost too much to go through.
Yes, it really is.
It really is. Like, but the one thing I did want to say is I felt kind of bad for Lars Sullivan.
Oh, why?
Because every time Lars climbed the ladder, the crowd booed.
Because he's the heel, though.
I don't think... Yeah, but...
So he didn't turn on, but he was dastardly on Killian Dane.
Yes.
Leading up to it.
But he's also... Like, he does get babyface reactions in NXT. I'm actually not sure whether he is a babyface or a heel. He's just generic big man. But I never felt that the crowd were booing because he's a heel. They were booing because they didn't want to see him win.
Think?
Well, I think so anyway. But that was at least how I read the situation. I'd much prefer it they were booing him because he was the heel.
I thought this was an incredible crowd. They booed apart from the occasional too sweet. And it's not their fault they were tired for the women's match.
It's not their fault.
It would be very hard to come alive for it. But overall, I felt like the crowd were cheering in kayfabe.
Okay,
So when they were doing that, they could have been. You're right, because big guy pushed for being big. Maybe they didn't want to see that happen. But I felt it was more of a you're a dastardly heel. You keep beating up Ricochet. We don't.
That's I much prefer that version of it. As I said, the way I read it was just like every time he climbed the ladder, it was like people were booing because they wanted either to be Adam Cole or Ricochet. Like those were the two favourites within this match. Every time they climbed, they were the ones who were getting the loudest reactions. There was a point when Lars Sullivan kept doing all these impressive big moves and slamming people down, and then he climbed the ladder and people would boo again. I was like, what does he have to do, you marks? Just cheer him. Cheer the man. He's great.
I thought he was a heel. So, speaking of Ricochet, though, he had the first... we'll try and do as many of the big spots as we can.
Let's try.
He had the first big one, which was... a couple of guys on the outside. Out of nowhere, he just jumps up onto the top rope. So not the turnbuckle, but the top rope balancing. Amazing shooting star. And you're like... Boom, I'm Ricochet. This is my first match. Deal with it.
I've written here, a star is made.
Yeah.
Crowd is they're going insane for Ricochet. He has to lose at this point.
And then Ricochet slides into the ring. He has a great sequence with, was it the Dream? And he's just doing forward rolls and getting... It felt like that Will Ospreay match where they were just doing choreographed bits, but it looked incredible. The crowd are going nuts. And then when he finished that and he was like... He did a facial expression pointing to, I'm here now. I was like, man,
Yeah.
Ricochet is astounding.
He is astounding. Lars gorilla presses Dream onto a ladder. What have we got here? Ricochet sunset flips Lars. So like Lars was on top of the ladder and Ricochet dives over and tries to do a sunset flip.
Yeah.
And then EC3 and Dream come around to try and help, but they still can't get him over. Adam Cole goes up the other side and punches Lars, and they all go down. Oh, it's just really, really cool stuff.
Apart from Cole.
Who
on
was
the
ladder.
on top of the ladder. And he, like, so EC3, everyone's just, it's not just about wrestling. It's about expressions and acting in this, and EC3's got great expressions. I'll talk about Lars in a second. But Adam Cole, after he helps push the powerbomb, he's on top of the ladder. He knows directly where the hard cam is, looks into it, and does a realization shot where he's like, and looks up at he's got a brilliant look on his face. The crowd are going nuts for Adam Cole to scramble up there, and then he's taken out by a Dane headbutt. But going back to Lars, I love the way he moves. I love the way Dream moves. It's a different kind of movement, but the way Lars moves, you expect him. Braun Strowman, when he moves, he's very big and he slams you, and it's almost like that hasn't affected Braun at all because he's so big. He can root himself to the ground. Lars is a wild man, and he'll do a simple power bomb, but then stumble around afterwards. But it doesn't look like he's out of control. It just looks like, oh my God, I don't want to be near him because he could just he's like flailing arms and.
When he was throwing ladders around, throwing
yes.
ladders at people, Nigel McGuinness called him Donkey Kong, and I suddenly thought,
yes,
what an amazing comparison, because he does. I mean, there's no barrels around, but he does feel like Donkey Kong in this match.
It's that. Usually I don't like pop culture references in commentary because I'm used to Michael Cole doing them wrong.
You love Mauro Ranallo.
But Mauro Ranallo, but it's like a shortcut, like they're talking my language. Like, in one comparison, you have just summed up how I feel towards this man, and now I can enjoy the match even more because of it. That's what great commentary does.
There was a spot in this which we alluded to earlier.
Yes.
He said, this match is NXT's version of Avengers Infinity War, but it's not about the 6 Infinity Stones, it's about the 6 competitors in this match. And then said, and Lars Sullivan is Thanos.
Yes. So the exact line was, but it's not about the Infinity Stones, it's about who's got the stones to climb the ladder.
Nice.
And it's just, I love the way Mauro does commentary, because he'll say something, and then you can almost, he doesn't give away that he's realised that he said something that he can continue on with, but that must be the way he does it. So he will just riff on something he says for about 6 lines, and they get better every time. He's so good at commentary.
He's so good.
He really enhances the product.
We then get a Purple Rainmaker party.
Yes.
With Dream hitting Purple Rainmakers on Dane, Cole, and Ricochet. Like, each time as well, the way he sells doing the move, like just getting up and being groggy again, and selling selling the fact that he's landed on his side. He's only 22 years old, which is insane. And he goes, and then so he's done this Purple Rainmaker party, and then he climbs a ladder to the tippity top of that ladder,
the tallest kind of ladder,
and he stands as tall as he can, and he's a tall lad. Does his pose and doesn't do a elbow drop where you just sort of like slightly fall on it, and your body hits first, and then he hit a full-on elbow drop, a Kairi Sane-esque elbow drop, and it looked absolutely sensational. Like, it looked so good.
If I'm super nitpicking here, I would have preferred a hard cam shot of that. They showed, and I get why they did it. They showed the shot from the ground looking up at Dream, which I think that's a replay shot because you do get that scale when he comes down, but I think it's more visually impressive to see the whole wide shot.
Yeah,
but that is super nitpicking.
Yeah.
But that's what we're here for.
Exactly, yeah. And then EC3 powerbomb Dream onto a ladder, and this is when I realised someone is bleeding, and I think Dream is hurt, because all of a sudden there's just doctors around everywhere, and everyone's wearing gloves, and I was like, uh-oh. And I'm unsurprised that someone has been busted open. And then I think by the end of it, 50% of the people in this match had been busted open at some point.
Yeah, and this turned into one of the more brutal spots. So EC3 has a ladder on him, like he's laying down.
Yep.
On his back, a ladder's on top of him, and Dane hits a senton, and then he goes up to do the Vader bomb, but Adam Cole jumps on Dane's back to choke him out. This happened a lot. I don't get why you would try and stop someone from taking out your opponent.
Yeah.
I don't. But by the by, Adam Cole is choking
him. It's wrestling physics.
Yeah. And then Dane jumps off, does the Vader bomb anyway, onto Cole.
No, onto the ladder and EC3
yes,
with Cole
on
still on his back. And Cole just like bounces up in the air when they hit the ground. It looked really, really cool.
Like EC3 took a lot of bumps in this. A lot of brutal bumps. So fair play to him. He didn't come in and just coast off his body.
Absolutely, yeah. Ricochet then
could.
Ricochet comes in and attacks both Dane and Lars, and then Dane and Lars took turns throwing him across the ring. Like he just Lars Sullivan launches Ricochet across the ring. And again, it comes back to that storyline of these two big men, that one-upmanship style thing. Lars throws it across to Dane. Dane just sort of looks at this carcass lying on the floor. The crowd chant, throw him back. And he's just like, oh, you think that's impressive? Just picks him up and launches him back across the other side of the ring.
So maybe you can help me out here. I get that you throw Ricochet, and then like Ricochet has that momentum, but something happens 2/3 into the trajectory where he gets another boost. I can't work it out. It's like he's just found a little mushroom in Mario Kart, and he's enabled that, and he's boosted forward.
Yeah, I'm guessing that's what it is.
Or like an air pocket. It's just a boom. All the turbulence has sent him off in the air. I don't know how Ricochet does. Yeah, I mean, if Neville is the man that Gravity forgot, Ricochet is the guy who is going Gravity and laughing at it.
Gravity doesn't even exist.
Yes.
We get a shooting star press to EC3 on the ladder. Dream finally gets back in and he kind of creates this ladder bridge. And then he climbs onto it again. Rick stops him. Crowd start chanting, please don't die. And this is when Dream picks up Ricochet and hits a rolling Death Valley driver onto the ladder. Just like I've seen a few people criticize some of the spots in this match, saying it looks too staged, it looks too funny, and I see that a lot in ladder matches in WWE, and I think a lot of ladder matches sort of around the wrestling world, because you do have to set up these ladders in ways you wouldn't normally set them up to kind of do these big spots. But sometimes my rationale with that is that these wrestlers are trying to incapacitate their opponents so they can then climb the ladders. So you would build these insane contraptions so that you can then do stuff like a roll. Yeah, it's pretty weak logic, but at least internally I can sort of make sense of it.
Well, I actually think, and I've written down here, that there was a lot of effort to make these ladder placements not look contrived. I thought that, because usually, and I always go back to the final battle, 2011 maybe, and it was a ladder war, Ring of Honor call it, between El Generico and Kevin Steen.
Brutal.
And I love that match. But there was no reason for them to set up a ladder, set up another ladder, put a ladder between it, and then put another ladder between it on top of that. There was no
No.
They weren't trying to do another bit, and then they were like, huh, look what we've created. It was very contrived. However, here, this particular moment, and a lot of the bits in this match, Dream has the ladder and goes for who was it?
It's Ricochet.
Ricochet goes for Ricochet's gut while Ricochet's in the turnbuckle, but Ricochet moving. That's what got the ladder in the turnbuckle. And then Ricochet had the ladder that was already upright and went to slam it into Dream, but Dream picked up the other end of the ladder that was in the turnbuckle, and that stopped the ladder attack and wedged it in. And then there's your structure. I thought this was a superbly worked and well thought out match in that regard.
It really was. And then there's like two ladders set up on the outside between the ring post and the commentary tables. And this is when you again get Lars and Dane doing whatever you can do, I can do better. So Dane grabs EC3, I believe, and sets him up. Oh no, I've jumped ahead of myself here. So where are we?
Dream's laying on the ladder.
Dream is on the ladder that's set up on the outside. He then grabs EC3 and hits the freak accident off the apron onto EC3 on the ladder and just completely kills both men. And then next to that, Killian Dane sets up Ricochet. Sets up Ricochet, and then just squashes both him and Cole through the other ladder as well. And this is when we get Fight Forever chants and Mauro Ranallo's call of NXT Infinity War.
Well, this is when all 6 men are down. And usually you would call this a double down. I've got it as a hectagonal down. I don't know what you would call it. But yeah, Mauro Ranallo has and here's the Titan King himself, as Lars stumbled into the ring, flailing around. Dane and Lars are now on the ladder. They're both trying to get to the title. And then each other feud sets up their own ladder. So you've got Ricochet and Dream on another one, and DC3 and Cole on another. And they just all...
And this is where I noticed as well that Lars Sullivan has a huge gash on the side of his face as well, just like with blood pouring down it. And you could tell that we were getting into the finish, otherwise they would have stopped to try and like heal up the wound slightly. But then basically everyone just sort of dies. Like the ladders sort of fall down, people fall down, this, that, and the other. And then you got Lars on the... he's left alone in the ring with this huge gash on his face. And from out of nowhere, Ricochet just jumps off the ropes and takes it. And the ladder essentially explodes because of the weight of both men. And it just goes... poof, and it just like completely implodes. And then I was like... And then you can actually hear someone shouting... This is when I knew it was the finish. Someone shouted, go, 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 go.
Oh, really? I heard something. I couldn't figure out what it was. Dane said something earlier quite... obviously, like it wasn't shouty, it was let's do this now. It was really like, but nitpicking again.
Ricochet has the belt, and then Cole drops him. Cole climbs, Cole wins. What a match. Amazing stuff.
Yes, really, really good. I have given it 4.5 stars
on the douchebag
rating
and
scale.
I cannot argue with that. I thought it was wonderful.
Yeah. Incredible. But one of the best multi-man ladder matches I've ever seen. I guess, like, I don't know if I would put TLC in these things. It's on par with that. Singles ladder matches are a different kettle of fish. I wouldn't put it in that bracket.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Next up, we had Ember Moon versus Shayna Baszler for the NXT Women's title.
Poor Moon and Baszler. I mean,
tough act to follow.
Well, that's it. Like, that was my first thought. I was like, they can't follow it. Like, no one put in this position could have followed it. But it ties into a conversation that you and I have had several times, which is the WWE's mentality of having a buffer match, because you need to like cool the crowd down so you then can pump them up again for the next match. And your argument has always been, which I completely agree with, is that if people are really into a feud, you don't need that buffer match. Case in point, later on in the night, when you've got Aleister Black and Almas, and then Gargano and Ciampa later, the crowd were hot for both matches. But because this hasn't been a particularly hot feud, the crowd weren't massively into this match. And these girls worked very, very hard to try and turn that around. And I thought this was a really well-worked, a really well-told story in the match. I thought both of them did amazing stuff. But... And I don't blame the crowd. I honestly don't blame the crowd.
Can't blame them. Not after that.
Exactly, not after that. I don't blame them, because that crowd just like completely wore themselves out from that match. How could you not? I thought they tried really hard, but it didn't. The crowd just weren't into it as much. I
really liked the story. I think this is a great story on paper. I wasn't into the match. Maybe it was the same as the crowd, exhausted from the previous match, but there was nothing really there for me. You said it's been a lackluster feud. I've written down a feud based around an MMA fighter not showing the wrestling locker room the right respect. Fresh. I think it was the Lesnar-Reigns feud. And I'm not into Ember Moon's character. But I enjoyed it. Jessamine Duke and Ronda Rousey were at ringside cheering Shayna, which makes sense, but it was weird seeing that they want Ronda to be such a babyface and Baszler is such a despicable heel. Moon got a cool entrance.
She did,
yes. With a lady singer.
The guitarist from Hailstrom, I think I've written. This is not bad. I've written here. Moon gets a live intro with the singer from Hailstrom. This is such a Triple H show.
It's my favourite band, Hailstrom.
Yep.
Yeah, love them.
Got all their albums, got all their LPs.
My favourites.
So I thought there was some really good stuff in this, but the story of this match was that Moon was able to do the arm breaking spot that Shayna Baszler has been doing to all of the other women on the NXT roster, where she stands on their hand at an awkward angle and then kicks it, and then they do like a arm goes in an awkward position, and then you sell that. And I thought it was a really cool spot. The crowd didn't really pop for it, but it was a really cool and a nice little story.
Well, I think I get why they did it afterwards, but that seems to be the finish of the match, and it felt like it came way too early.
Well, actually led to one of my favourite things in this match, was Baszler going to the outside and ramming herself into the ring post to try and pop her shoulder back in.
That was great.
Commentators were doing Nigel McGuinness from City was doing a really good job of putting over why she was doing this and why it's important for her to be doing this, because she needs it for her submission hold, she needs it for this, that and the other. But the crowd just weren't into the spot itself. As I said, I thought this was a really well-worked match with a really good story. It just didn't really... It's one of those things you say you need the crowd behind it to kind of like make it, to raise it up that extra level. It's not been a hot feud, but I enjoyed it.
So that arm dislocation spot from Moon, that came in the midpoint of the match. I think that is in your last fifth of the match, and then after that you rush into Shayna bashing her shoulder in, and then you get the one-arm choke. Yeah. Which is how because Shayna was one arm down, she still managed to choke out Ember. She didn't tap; she just passed out.
Yeah,
with one arm and kept it on for quite a while. Like I'm a bit sick of seeing Moon not succumb to submissions for ages.
Yeah, it was basically the same ending as the Bayley Asuka match from NXT TakeOver Dallas a few years ago, which was when Asuka had her in the lock and she just passed out, and everyone was actually genuinely surprised because everyone thought that Bayley was retaining. But it's. Yeah, I thought it was a nice finish, but yeah, it probably went on for a little bit too long. And especially, it feels too long because the crowd aren't popping for Moon getting out of the submissions or countering the submissions. And if the crowd aren't popping for it and aren't reacting to it, then it just feels like it goes on for longer than it actually is.
And this was a shortish match as well compared to everything else. I'll just say one more thing, because there was another part I really liked aside from the shoulder pop spot, which was the opening exchange where Ember Moon runs into Baszler and Baszler just to do a drop kick, but Baszler just clocks her with a stiff right. And I was like, screw your wrestling stuff, MMA! I thought that was a great exchange and really summed up the feud between them, or the story between them. Then we had a Paige introduced sneak peek. Did you get this? You got this on the live broadcast?
Fighting with my family.
Fighting with my family, where The Rock cut a promo on people who aren't Paige.
Yeah.
They're playing Paige.
I've written here, there's a clip from Fighting with my family. I hope that's not a real clip. Yeah.
Looked like a TV movie.
It doesn't look like an actual film.
No.
It doesn't look like a real thing.
Maybe they've got to put in the CGI still. Didn't see any green screen
It's
stuff.
unfinished.
So then we got a little bit backstage with O'Reilly and Adam Cole in the trainer's room. Of course, Cole's just had this big match. And next up, he's got the tag match. He's got to defend the Undisputed Era's tag belts. And Cole's like saying he's worried he can't compete. And O'Reilly's like, can we get this cooled off? And then you cut to Aleister Black training and being all broody. So you're in the tag match bit and the entrances. And you don't know if Adam Cole's going to come out. It was a nice multi-match story here,
particularly as well because there was a lot of people who had theories throughout the day and actually throughout this week that they were going to have a replacement for Adam Cole. They were going to introduce a new member of the Undisputed Era, with a lot of people thinking it was going to be Donovan Dijak.
Right.
So I think it almost felt like they were... Because I then got worked by it a little bit, because Cole's sitting there going like, I don't think I can do this match. And O'Reilly is going like, we need to get this match called off. I was thinking like, this is where you introduce... Because O'Reilly came out on his own, and I was like, this is where you're going to bring out someone new. And then Adam Cole came in, and I was like, oh no, they've just worked me. Adam Cole is working this match, but that felt real.
Yes.
That backstage thing there where Cole said, I'm not sure I can do this. And then Cole's selling as he's walking to the ring, being like, oh man, and he's carrying his newly won title. It's like, and the comment, Marinelle's like, Undisputed Era should be celebrating that Cole has won this championship, but they have got another match on their hands here. They've got something bigger that they need to do. And it's just, it really, really worked. And then that worked then into the story of the match. I thought it was great stuff.
Yeah, and Mauro Ranallo, so good throughout the show. But here, like, he's so good at summing up why you should be interested in this match in just a few lines. And he did it at the start of this. He's like, O'Reilly and Cole, you've got that story where Cole was taken out on the outside early on by Authors of Pain. Authors of Pain want to cement their legacy. They've done everything. They want to, really dominate the division. And Dunne and Strong, they're working together. They're still a very new tag team. Really great setting it up. Goldust and Jeff Jarrett were shown at ringside. Interesting. So yeah, Cole was taken out very early.
Yeah.
This was, again, just really good. The Authors of Pain took Cole over after they dominated everything and took everyone out. They went to put Cole through the Spanish announcers table. I don't know if this was a botch, but Cole actually almost struggled out, and they got him back up and put him
forced
through.
him back into it. Yeah.
And I was like, if that's a botch, that's a really lucky botch, because that to me looks like Adam Cole genuinely doesn't want to be put through the table, which is what should be happening.
Yeah.
Or rather than just here's our spot, we've got to do our wrestling spot now, and it fits Adam Cole's character so well because he's like, I don't want to do stuff. I'm trying to weasel out of stuff all the time.
Yeah.
Really, really good. And then with Cole out, I mean, for me, O'Reilly is the star of this match.
Oh, isn't he just? Like, I thought him and Pete Dunne were both absolutely...
Yes, I want to see that match.
Yeah,
as a singles
God,
match.
Don't you just? I mean, I've just written here, Kyle kicks the S word out of Dunne. And as soon as I read those words, I was like, God, I want to see that again. I want to see that match.
I think that match is a 5-star. And I really hope they do it. I don't know how they get there because, of course, it looks like Strong and Dunne after this. But
well, have you seen the stuff that's happened after this match? So when this match happened, we'll get to the end of the match and then we'll talk about
let's tell the story. So yeah, O'Reilly is just after Cole's been taken out. O'Reilly's like, crap. Okay, boss mode, and just like takes out one of the Authors of Pain. By the way, I cannot tell the difference in matches between Razor and Akam, so I've just got Authors of Pain. When an Author of Pain is taken out by the knee.
I wrote notes, and I wrote down Razor, and I was like, I've written Akam, so I've written Akam's name quite a few times, and then I suddenly got to a point where I was like, I'm not sure if that actually is Akam.
Yeah.
And then he did something, and Moronello called him Akam, and I was like, yes, got it right.
But O'Reilly had this sick knee out of nowhere onto an Author of Pain. Then he takes on Dunne and Strong for ages, and O'Reilly gets Roderick Strong and an Author of Pain in a submission at the same time.
Yeah.
It's just incredible.
Mauro Ranallo kept laughing at the start of this match because he's like, this is meant to be a tag match.
He was like, I was told this is meant to be a tag match, yeah. And it finally does become one. People go to the
as I've written
apron.
Here, the match breaks down into a tag match.
Very well put. So then you have like some normal exchanges, and then O'Reilly gets back into the ring. And this... this is just incredible. I loved this spot. An amazing German suplex from an Author of Pain onto Kyle O'Reilly's neck. He landed, folded up like an accordion, but he rolls over and immediately stands up and hulks out.
He no Japan, no sells it.
He no Japanned it. And the crowd are like, way! And I'm like, yes, come on, Kyle O'Reilly. But then Kyle O'Reilly just like fades and falls back out the ropes. And I was like, you don't get this sort of heel work on the main roster because WWE is so conditioned in their chicken S-word heel mentality that you don't really present heels like awesome badasses. Like, I guess Brock Lesnar does, but, is he a face, is he a heel? Who knows? But Kyle O'Reilly is very distinctly a heel. He cheats to win. Almas, also distinctly a heel. But it never takes away from their ring ability or... not just their ring ability, but their will to win. And him firing up just there and trying with all his might, even though it ended in a comedy spot, does wonders for just his character.
Really did, yeah.
But I've lost my place. You carry on.
Well, I was going to say, where we got to, Carl tries to get involved again, which allows Strong to get some offense in and get the hot tag to Pete Dunne. And then Pete Dunne has an incredible comeback because, do you know what? Pete Dunne is very good at professional wrestling. He is awesome. And it's one of these matches. Remember we did our Wrestle Kingdom 10 review for the Patreon podcast?
Yes.
And there was the opening match was the four-way tag match for the tag team titles. And I said there's like what I loved about this match is that you got 8 guys around the ring, and each one of those you could say they're a credible competitor to the Junior Heavyweight Championship at any pay-per-view down the line because they just all look amazing. And I thought that when I was watching this match, I was like, Kyle O'Reilly is an incredible single star. Adam Cole's an incredible single star. Pete Dunne's an incredible single star. Roderick Strong's an incredible single star. You've got them in tag at the moment, but holy hell, any one of these could be an upper tier, maybe even main event level guy. Just like, and Pete Dunne in particular is just so effing great. I love everything that he does, and it's just awesome.
But again, I'm going to bring it back to O'Reilly because and like. O'Reilly's interactions with Dunne were sublime.
Yeah, they were.
And from just what I enjoy about wrestling, probably the best stuff on the show for me. But, that's more of a taste thing. I'm not saying objectively it's the strongest. So there's this spot where Dunne is running wild off this awesome hot tag, but O'Reilly gets him, and he delivers this German suplex, and Dunne flips over so he lands on his feet. And there is this moment where the camera is on Dunne's face. He's sitting up after the German, and he looks so smug. Like, I've stopped that hot tag. just grin. And Dunne is just standing behind him. There's a bit of dramatic irony with a demon look on his face, and he just whacks O'Reilly in the head with a kick, and it just brilliant. Brilliant.
Absolutely awesome. We then get the Super Collider, and we get the last chapter from the Authors of Pain, but Strong breaks it up. Dunne does some joint manipulation, and then here's where we get...
Oh, can I just say O'Reilly and Dunne after that have like this closed fist brawl where they are just clobbering each other.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Sorry, I
beautiful.
didn't want to forget that, but yeah, you're absolutely right. So we get an assisted bitter end, but Aiken breaks that up, and then Dunne hits the bitter end on Kyle O'Reilly. He has the pin.
Yep.
He has the match won.
Yep.
And Roderick Strong breaks it up by stamping on his head, lifts him up, and he hits his backbreaker move and puts Kyle on top of him. It's Steve Austin Invasion 2001 all over again. The swerve of all swerves. Roderick Strong has joined the Undisputed Era and screwed Pete Dunne out of winning the tag team championships. You text me. I didn't get.
I've got the exchange.
You got the exchange, yeah.
Shall I? That's fine.
You just text me this morning saying that you were watching it a little bit late, and then because I said that I was asleep.
So this is within Roddy. No, this is all in capitals. Roddy, no. OMG. OHMAHGAWG. I did not see that coming. Actually looks like I can get him for 12:30. It's me coming into the studio. What time would be here? But I just that was the loudest pop of the night.
Yeah, absolutely. Because very few, I've seen a couple of people on Twitter say that they had predicted it, and actually I have got someone messaged me on Twitter with almost beat for beat
really?
like what would happen, and then was like, man, you better give me some credit on that.
Yeah.
So I'm afraid I can't remember your name. I could look it up, but I'm not going to because that's our gimmick. And he did call it, and kudos to you because I did not see this coming because they had such a super babyface in Roderick Strong. I was like, man, the last thing you want to do is turn him heel. But then they turned him heel, and I was like, well, that just makes all the sense. It makes much sense. Yes. This is amazing stuff.
It's not because sometimes there's heel last year's Survivor Series where Triple H turned on everyone, and it's just swerve, swerve, swerve. And I'm like, but it's not connected to anything. They're just pops with no substance. But like you said, this makes perfect sense. It came out of completely nowhere, but it was also rooted in everything. Just a master turn of getting that balance perfect. I was completely blindsided by this turn, and it still makes every lick of sense.
Yep.
And the way Roderick Strong steps on Pete Dunne's body afterwards and steps over him and then takes the Undisputed Era armband off of Adam Cole and puts it on himself. What confused me, I'm keen to see how it plays out, was Cole and O'Reilly did not look like they were in on it.
They didn't know it was coming.
No.
Which is great because the whole storyline since the Undisputed Era came in was they were trying to recruit Roderick Strong, and Roderick Strong kept saying no, which led to war games, and it led to all these battles between the two factions. And now out of nowhere, Roddy's joined them, and they were like, oh, yes, mate, come on in, come join us. I mean, we can't fit your name into our logo because it's quite intricately designed, but we're happy to have you here.
Yeah.
Let's all do this.
Yeah. And Mauro was, now looking back on it, Mauro was saying throughout the match, all Roddy wants is gold. He really just wants a title, and that's the way to do it. You help the people who have already got it win. So in that super faction.
So coming out of this,
yes.
was alluding to earlier, because I saw someone mention this, and I was like, hashtag yes please. And then it seems to this is the direction they're going, because Pete Dunne posted up on social media a picture of British Strong Style. Saying almost with a let's get the band back together. Ooh. And Trent7 retweeted that with the emoji. So I think we're leading to Undisputed Era versus British Strong Style. You know, you're right there.
I just need a minute. I've got an erection.
So yeah, that appears to be the direction we're going. And as soon as it didn't even cross my mind because I was so blindsided by the turn that when I saw it on Twitter, someone got to get British Strong Style together now to take on the Undisputed Era. I was like, yes, please. Hashtag yes, please. And
just put that there for now. Just awkwardly hunch over.
And I mean, I don't know how long Tyler Bate's out for.
That's a worry.
But
you can just have Pete Dunne off for a bit and come back for it in a few months' time. The way they tape TV, you can work around it.
Exactly.
And the other two guys can work while Tyler.
Yeah.
Oh, what a
feud that would be.
The matches would be insane.
And as again, this might give us that Kyle O'Reilly Pete Dunne singles match that you and I were just talking about. We'd love to see.
Yeah.
Yes. Please. It's Invasion 2001 all over again, but this time it makes sense, and I love it. Love it, love it, love it.
Yeah, and a really nice touch with Bobby Fish coming out.
I was coming over like, hey!
Yeah,
hey, Roddy's here!
Because when that was all happening, I kind of... I felt a bit sad for the guy, because it just did seem like he was replaced, and, maybe Fish will come back later on and we're working back in. A bit like Sanity and what's his name?
The first one.
Yeah, sorry, I can't remember his name. But the... And I was worried that was going to happen to Fish, and I love Fish. I love the way he works. But he came out at the end in a suit and his crutches with a
knee brace,
knee brace, and he posed with everyone. They look great.
Yeah.
Just fantastic. Next up, Alice Cooper's guitarist was in the crowd.
I am exhausted, and we've still got 2 more matches to go through. Oh, what was your star rating for it?
So I gave that 4.25.
Man. And you gave the women's match
3.5.
It's gonna be a very your star average rating for this show.
So Andrade, Cien Almas versus Aleister Black for the NXT title. Oh, by the way, have we said what predictions we had? So for the first match, we both had EC3, so we were wrong. For the women's match, we both said Baszler, so we were both right. And for the tag match, we both said Undisputed Era.
Yeah.
So we're 2 for 3, and this match makes it 3-2 to you, because you had Black winning. I had Almas
Absolutely.
winning.
By any chance, did you see Pachiti's predictions for this?
No.
Pachiti's predictions were EC3, Ember Moon, Authors of Pain, Almas, and Ciampa.
Wow.
Every single one.
So he does their punishment videos so well. I think... I can't, yeah.
Can't be angry at it.
Can't be angry, because I'm just eager to see him.
I just saw it, because I saw it, I didn't see it at the time, I just saw it this morning, I was reading back, I was like, oh, mate. Oh, Adam.
It's weird, because I really like Adam Pacitti.
I know.
But I want to see him get punished. His videos are so good. Yeah. I sometimes, if I'm bored, I will usually find myself watching him drink hot sauce. It's weird. It's weird.
Anyway, so Andrade Almas versus Aleister Black for the NXT Championship. My guy, the guy that I'm putting a stake in as the future of this company, at least in some capacity. Aleister Black gunning for the NXT Championship against a super heel and a great champion, out of nowhere, great champion in Andrade Cien Almas. A guy that when he was going for the belt against Drew McIntyre, I didn't really buy into. I was like, this just feels like a placeholder feud. And then Almas won the belt, and ever since then, it's like, this guy has been so good. He's been an awesome, awesome champion. But man alive, do I love me some Aleister Black. I've written a lot of notes here, but a lot of those notes are just, Black is the effing best in all caps, because he's just the best.
I like when this video package started to play, I was like, oh my god, Gargano Ciampa's going on last. Yes! I think I said I didn't want that to happen, but when it started to play out, I did, apparently. So, I'm an idiot. So Black goes right on the offense here, and it sends strikes, sending Almas to the outside, and then he does this perfect moonsault. So Black hops up to the top rope turnbuckle and hits a moonsault to the outside on Almas. He hits all of it, just like the way Almas caught him. There was no It was a perfect moonsault. And then he immediately turned round to look where Vega was. Really nice storytelling, and Moro put that over huge.
And it's great as well, because Black does this in his matches where he sends him to the outside and it looks like he's going to do a dive, but he just does his little springboard off it and does his sit down. And that's what everyone thought he was going to do here, but he didn't. He did his springboard, landed around, quickly transitioned to do this massive moonsault onto it, and it was just like it caught the crowd off guard, because you jump into a rhythm that you're expecting and then you twist it like that. Just worked so well, and a really hot start to this match, because Vega there gets involved right away by giving him a Hurricane Rana right into the ring steps.
Yeah, like really quick interference, and played into the story perfectly when all was said and done.
Absolutely, yeah.
So Hurricanrana from Vega into the ring steps on Black, and the crowd are booing her so hard, which is great to hear. It just, that kayfabe heat again.
Yeah.
And then Moro says, there's nothing tranquilo about Vega here. Tranquillo about Vega here. I wonder what he's referencing. Super Kick Party as well was referenced earlier.
I wonder.
And then Almas works over Black for quite a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen criticism where it was too long. But I wouldn't change anything about this match.
Absolutely not.
I found it fine.
Especially then when Almas does a springboard.
Yes.
And Black hits him with a jumping knee because he's the effing best.
So, and this was where really Moro started to put over Almas's ring IQ. And beautiful lines, like he's got someone tweeted it to us, he's got a metronome would be jealous of that timing for Black. But to Almas, he said he's got Mensa level ring IQ.
Yeah.
And they put it over how Almas would used to be cocky and he'd celebrate a lot, but here he's move on them. And he's just always on it and thinking about the next step and how to counter and scouting certain moves. Almas is great.
It's great. And they tie that all into Vega. They make Vega relevant to this character. She's not just a bit of eye candy out there for Almas. She's not just a manager. He is a champion because she has made him change his way of wrestling, because now he's not showboating, he's not doing this. He is now this ring technician because she is molding him into this champion. It's just really, really great storytelling because he is this really great ring technician, but she keeps getting involved like an absolute dick and ruining things.
Yeah.
And it's great because it makes you hate her.
Yeah, and
by extension, hate him.
Yeah, and I usually, I think Ms. Maurice, and Maurice would cheat. But here I'm like, it's almost like Almas doesn't need Vega to cheat. They're just cheating because they're bad people.
Yeah, exactly.
Because Almas is so good that the cheating is not needed. Fantastic, and it makes Almas feel legit despite the cheating, and that's so important to make him credible.
And then that plays into the finish.
Yeah.
Perfectly plays into the finish. So you've got a really cool spot where they do this amazing striking exchange, and then Black kicks out, and they do another running knee. Where am I?
You've gone way
ahead. I've gone way... Oh, no, just because I've jumped ahead,
because
sorry.
There was the So every time Black came back, Almas would cut him off pretty quickly and beat down Black some more. And there was this fantastic bit. It's a Kota Ibushi spot where Black was laying down. Almas went for the moonsault, but Black rolled out the way. Almas landed on his feet and hit an immediate moonsault onto Black.
Yeah.
Which was great. And Nigel put that over really, really well.
Yes, I did accidentally jump forward a little bit there. Do apologise.
Corkscrew dive onto Black from Almas. He's just on it all the time.
Yep.
Then the referee is distracted by the belt. There's some shenanigans at ringside. And Vega hits another Hurricanrana.
A spike Hurricanrana.
Straight down into the ground.
For a great near fall. And then Almas gets in the hammerlock, but Black reverses it and hits the Black Mass. Think it could be the finish out, and then Vega gets his foot up on the ropes to break up the pin, and I've just written here in capital letters, third time she's getting involved. Black goes for the moonsault on the outside, but Vega gets involved again. Where's Candice when you need her?
Yeah, Black needs a buddy.
Black needs his own Candice LeRae to stop Vega from getting involved. Almas then does the double foot stomp onto Black while he's on the outside. Then into the double knees for another great near fall.
I thought that was it, even though it was just the double knees.
Yeah. Hammerlock reversal. Black goes for the Black Mass, but Almas drop kicks him in the back of the head. So he goes round to do the Black Mass, and as he's spinning around, perfect timing, Almas hits this dropkick right to the back of his head. It looked absolutely brutal.
It's a great spot.
So good. It just came out of nowhere.
And there was a really subtle layer there of a near ref bump. So you could almost say Black didn't hit that Black Mass because Almas nearly ran into the referee off of his Irish whip. There was just a little bit of confusion, which was enough to delay Black, which is why Almas could get that kick in.
Yeah.
I loved it. Really good spot. Double knees onto Black on the on the apron into the ring post.
Yeah, the one that did to Johnny Gargano at Philadelphia. And Black's selling of that, he glazes over. It
looks knocked out.
Exactly. It looks like the lights are on and no one is home. It's really great setting. And then the commentators were putting that over perfectly, of just being like, that's it. He's done. He can't, look at his face. He can't go on anymore. So Black then, Almas gets him in for the draping hammerlock, the same way he won the championship, the same way that he's beaten Johnny Gargano. But Black dumps him to the outside and does this big dive to the outside. But then, from out of nowhere, it hits another hammerlock. It hits a hammerlock DDT. So Black does the dive, and you're like, oh, Black's on the offense. They get back in the ring, hammerlock DDT out of nowhere. And I was like, oh my God, that's the finish.
Yes, yeah.
And it was another kick out, and this is where I'm just screaming, oh my God! And this is where I was like nearly throwing my laptop off of my lap because I was getting so into this finish. Vega dives off the top to hit Aleister Black. He moves out the way, and Almas catches her almost into sort of like, into a, not a fireman's carry, but, just a crossbody, crossbody position. And then he hits the Black Mass. 1, 2, 3. Aleister Black is your new NXT champion. I loved this match.
It was incredible, and a good call from Percy at the end to sum it up so succinctly. Vega went to the well one too many times.
Yeah.
She tried to cheat one too many times.
She didn't need to.
You had the perfect level of cheating in there. And this is one of the best examples. Well, actually, no, the main event has this, but this is such a good example of storytelling through physicality, because there were no words there. It was all physical actions, and you can get everything in of how Vega keeps cheating, and that has become their downfall in the end. Almas is literally carrying Vega, like he's holding her there. That's the spot that's cost him when the Black Mass is hit on his head. It is the perfect retribution for how dastardly they've been. Really, really good. I've given it 4.5 as well.
Well earned 4.5. Loved it. And then, good Lord, I am exhausted. We have got the main event. The match that we've been building to for almost a year now. In fact, it's been over a year, really, when you think of the story that they've been telling, going back to the Cruiserweight Classic of Ciampa nearly turning on Gargano at the Cruiserweight Classic, but them sitting down and being like, no, I can't hate you for knocking me out this tournament because you're my best friend. You've been building from that, and you've been building to the turn last year, to all the stuff we've had with Almas and Gargano. We've been building to this moment. It's Johnny Gargano against Tommaso Ciampa in an unsanctioned match. And there was just small details in this. The ref wasn't in a referee shirt. He was just in a black shirt. And I suddenly thought, this is clearly what Triple H had in mind last year with his feud with Seth Rollins.
Yes.
But then Vince was like, no, it's WrestleMania. Get a ref out there. Let's do this as just a... It just ended up being a wrestling match, almost like a street fight. Yeah. It just felt like any other match. This felt like an unsanctioned fight. It was just, the ref was just there to be... And he was already wearing gloves. I loved that touch. Yeah. He's like, there's going to be blood, so I'm going to have to wear these gloves straight away, so there's no point in me even messing around. And it just little touches like that, but even like the creme de la creme, Ciampa comes out to no music. The crowd is his music. Mega heat for Ciampa here. I did see someone post up on Twitter saying like, Ciampa's new theme music, asshole, available now on Spotify.
Yeah, a lot of naughty words.
Said
to Ciampa.
Yeah.
Asshole, you suck. And F you Ciampa chants. And showing the British contingent out there, you're a wanker, I thought was out there.
The problem was, though, you didn't have then JR going like, oh, what's a wanker? What does that word mean?
Great call. But my God, Ciampa looked in good shape.
Good, didn't he just? You want to talk?
Hell.
You know, you were talking about EC3 looking like an action figure earlier. Ciampa's conditioning, man. He just looks incredible shape.
Different body types. EC3's just big and bodybuilder type. But Ciampa looked lean and scary.
Yeah.
And just like the addition of the hair, the chest hair and the big beard. It was just like...
Great big bushy beard.
I don't like to be near this man.
He looks like a psycho killer. It's so good. What a great look.
Back to the referee, because I've got some notes. Thank God he was wearing black, because it sort of toned down his stupid tan. Which I've gone off on before, but I thought, I can't remember the referee's names, Dr something.
I'm not sure.
He's like the head referee in NXT, and
he's the one that looks like a wrestler.
Yeah. He was so good in this match. And it's very similar to how Rudy Charles operates on the main roster, and how Red Shoes over in New Japan. Just like the role of a referee is to not be seen, but somehow they add to the action because it's this peripheral thing going on in there. And I was really paying attention to him just because I was really enjoying what he was doing. And because he has no power, this is an unsanctioned match. They kept putting it over. All he's doing is there to count 3. There's no rope breaks. He can't count someone out for stomping someone in the corner. He can't disqualify people or take away the chair or a weapon when someone's trying to use it. But initially, he goes to stop Gargano, but then he's like, he walks back and he's just like, I can't do anything.
I've got to let him do it.
And then there was such a good bit at the end when they're having this slugfest and trying to fight each other, and he was doing what I was saying. He was screaming at them, put your guard up with his hands, and it just adds to the story so much. And I do wish they gave referees a bit more chance to get involved like that, just as kind of like a Greek chorus position to be in the ring.
Absolutely, yeah. And this match starts off and it's Ciampa comes out to absolute silence, which is then punctuated by Johnny Gargano's music hitting and the crowd just popping huge for it. Dolph Ziggler could... poor old Dolph Ziggler. He's doing the same thing on the main roster, but no one really cares about it. But, man, this is how you have a silent entrance. It's like Dudley Boys in ECW. You don't have music. You're all here to have fun. We're not here to have fun. We're here to beat people up and insult your mother. So we're just going to walk to the ring and you can just chant whatever you want at us. Loved all of this presentation. And then they just hockey punches right off the bat to start, and the crowd are into it. From the word go, the crowd are so into this fight.
Well, I thought the crowd sagged. It was a long match, 37 minutes.
I think it was because, and it's weird as well, because on our prediction show, I said that if this is 5% as good as their Cruiserweight Classic match they had, it'll be a 5-star classic. That was and I'm quite stupid for saying that, really, because that's not what this match should have been. It wasn't meant to be a wrestling match.
It's a story match.
It was just meant to look like a fight. And I think the crowd were almost felt like they were expecting a wrestling match. They were expecting near falls. And it wasn't about near falls. Yeah. It wasn't about high spots. It wasn't about doing this and that. It was about telling a story and just fighting each other. And I think the pockets of the crowd just weren't getting into that aspect of it. But eventually they did, because everyone was really into it by the end. But yeah, you are right. There were portions of this match where the crowd weren't really popping for anything.
I would say large portions. I would say for about half the match, about 20 minutes, you had the initially hot opening 10 and then the hot 7-10 minutes at the end. But I totally agree. And I think I should probably go and watch the match back. I think I'd enjoy it more, because I'm one of those people, weirdly in my head, and they never told me to expect a wrestling match. They kept on saying a brawl. But in my head, I'm thinking, I can't wait for the second coming of Dunne Bate. Yeah. I can't wait for Gargano Almas again. I thought it was going to be that kind of wrestling match. But it was not. It was an unsanctioned fight. This isn't that match. They can have that match, but I think they've left enough in the tank to have that match 6 months down the line.
Now is not the time to do that match. And as I said, that's why I was a classic idiot for saying that on the prediction show, because that's not the match that this needed to be. And I'm so happy that it was this. But again, like you, it took me a little while to kind of click into that mode.
To be honest, it took me until the last 10 minutes.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Because I was just watching it, and I know because the first near fall came about 25 minutes in. But that's the nature of the match. Again, it's like that. It's my fault that I didn't enjoy the match more. It's not the match's fault.
Anyway, so Johnny's doing the stomping in the corner, as you said earlier, and he just won't stop. Tope suicided by Gargano, and Ciampa's knocked over the guardrail. Big dive by Johnny. Like, Johnny is just trying to just hurt Ciampa, and he just it's all this pent-up rage that he's got. And then we get this part where Ciampa literally throws Johnny Gargano into the commentators. And usually at these commentator spots, everyone's already stood up, everyone's already moved to the side. This felt so chaotic. This felt that it was vicious, and it came out of nowhere, because and then the commentary goes dead. Percy doesn't do anything. Nigel is on his own for a while. And you can hear people going like, testing, are we still on? I think it's probably all staged, but it sounded real, and it added more to it. When Johnny Gargano got thrown over the commentator's table, the crowd chanted "Mamma Mia."
Yes, love that. That was a great chant.
Yeah.
And straight off of that, Gargano picks up Ciampa on the table. He's going to do look like a power driver, because WWE can do it this weekend. But he didn't clear the table. And even though we've usually said, why do they clear the table? They're trying to hurt people. Why would you take out the monitors before you put someone through an announcer's table? Here I was, oh my God, take the monitors out. Someone's going to get hurt. Because there was an iPad directly under where Ciampa's head was.
Yeah.
And I thought, he's going to get glass in his eye. Because I'm thinking I've got McGregor in my head.
Yeah.
But they didn't do that spot. Instead, they did something that looked more brutal, which was a suplex off a real fast suplex off the table from Ciampa onto Gargano, but Ciampa sold it more. It seemed like he had landed on the back of his head.
Ow,
Great
man,
selling.
that looked like it sucked. Like it looked so brutal.
But it was such a different kind of match from everything else on the card, and that's the great thing about NXT shows. They do vary up a lot. Shane McMahon, a wild Shane McMahon in the crowd.
Oh, was
Did
that?
you spot him?
No, I didn't see
He
him.
was right by ringside with his sons.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I
he
did
was
not.
sweaty, and he was saying, "What up, New Orleans?" Did you not hear him?
No,
yeah, he was doing that a lot. So then we had Ciampa just sits on the desk cross-legged for a while, just like, and the crowd are just giving him heat. F you, Ciampa chant again. And the referee, then he gets him a submission in, I can't remember what it was. Cloverleaf. And the referee's like, I can't break the count. I can't break it. There's no ring breaks.
Yeah. I've written here, there are no rules. At last, someone gets it.
Yeah, really great use of the unsanctioned concept.
And then Ciampa stamps Johnny's head and applauds himself, almost like Woken Matt Hardy style of just being like, yes, just really enjoying it.
So then comes one of the weirder parts.
Yeah, I thought this was really weird as well. They had this is the bit I don't like. I think you'd have had a much better if you'd have just had it under the ring.
Yeah.
Like Ciampa had put it there earlier.
Makes total sense.
Makes total sense for it. But they have a plant in the audience wearing a Johnny Wrestling t-shirt on crutches.
Who wasn't set up. Like, he wasn't shown beforehand.
Yeah.
There wasn't any interaction before that. It was just like, oh, here's this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I kind of get it from a storytelling perspective because Johnny's he's a man of the people. He's the wrestler's wrestler, wrestling fans' wrestler. And he's a Johnny Gargano fan and he's taking this crutch. Oh, boo, what a heel. But for me, I think the visual would have worked better of him like just throwing up the ring apron, searching around, grabbing it and lifting it up and let the crowd react to it. This didn't work for me.
Not just the visual, but the storytelling.
Yes.
It would be a better story if Ciampa had brought these crutches, the weapon that you've been using, rather than just get it from someone at the crowd. It's a bit of a Deus Ex Machina.
I agree, yeah. But at least he did the wave.
You could say it was a booking crutch.
Oh, hello. Usually you have to pay extra for that sort of stuff on the Patreon podcast.
For free. So Gargano dodges all these crutch attacks, though, and takes out Ciampa. Ciampa goes for this... Oh, earlier, sorry. Ciampa had ripped up a part of the protective mats from the outside area. God, I forgot how cold and concrete that outside bit looks.
Yep.
With no give.
Oh, no.
Because this turned into Gargano powerbombing Ciampa onto that off the apron.
That thud.
He took it really well.
Oh, that
he took
thud.
it, and it was like, because it wasn't, he didn't raise him. It was like directly down. The sort of arc that Ciampa followed was as small as it could be to protect him. And he took it, like, it's always going to be a big thud, but it seemed like he took it all on his back, not the head. Like there was no whiplash. I thought it was done really well.
It was.
And relatively safely.
Yeah. As safe as you can get it, but man, like it was just. That sound is sickening. Like it really makes your stomach churn a little bit.
And that was followed up from the crowd by a "You deserve it" chant. And Mauro goes, "You know what? I've got to agree with the crowd." And Nigel, then I'm going, yeah, screw you, Ciampa. Nigel just adds this extra layer. He goes, as a former competitor, that doesn't make me. I'm not happy with that.
Yeah.
Like, I just want this match to be over as soon as possible. This isn't enjoyable.
No.
And I was like, now I've got different emotions for the match. It's not just about revenge anymore. It's about how just hate has corrupted not just Ciampa, but it's corrupting Gargano too, which flows into the end bit as well.
So then they both go for the crutch. They're back into the ring, and Johnny wins the battle, and he uses the crutch onto Ciampa's knee, but Ciampa still manages to duck him out of the out of the ropes. And then you get the slingshot DDT. Mate. And then you get Gargano exposing the turnbuckle, and he tries to lawn dart Ciampa into it, but Ciampa reverses. And then you get, this was great. So he throws him out onto the apron, and he goes to like run at him to do his slingshot spear that he likes to do. Mm-hmm. Boom, knee to the face.
Yeah.
Oh, so good. Kick to the head. It's Nikki approved. I like. That's great.
So the bit when they're both reaching for the crutch, that was about 25 minutes in. That was the first time I realised. The crowd should be going crazy for that spot. But Like
No,
it was,
they
there
weren't.
was nothing really.
Yeah.
And then there was a "We want tables" chant.
Oh yeah, I've written here. Yeah, the crowd are so concerned for these guys that they're trying to. We
which-
want tables.
It's like you didn't hear two sweets in much because everyone was so into the near falls. And it's like as soon as you chant "We want tables," it's like you're not invested in the match. You are, you're thinking about other stuff, and maybe it's because what you said earlier, which I think is probably the reason.
Yeah, people were expecting. They were expecting a WWE street fight, which is you just get various weapons out. You do your big spots and things like that.
Oh no, I didn't mean that. I think the crowd thought we were getting, like I did, a classic wrestling match, and because that wasn't happening, they got kind of out of it, and then they just started chanting for stuff because it's late in the night, and we all like a few bevies at a wrestling show.
Certainly we do.
So then there was a reverse Rana from Johnny Gargano, but it was actually him just throwing his own head into the ground. And there were a few botches here. It wasn't the slickest match. Like Almas and Gargano was faultless, but this was a pretty. Not botch-tastic, but it wasn't as slick as it could be.
So Gargano locks in the Gargano escape. Ciampa gets to the ropes, but obviously that doesn't really matter or anything. And then Gargano rolls him back in, but Ciampa rakes the eyes as hard as he possibly can. To get out of this move. Ciampa then takes off some of his wrist tape and starts choking Johnny with it. They do a bouye jumping spot. And
I really like that tape bit because it's such a nice physical storytelling spot again, because Gargano's grabbed one side of the tape so Ciampa can't use it, and it looks like they're handcuffed, like they're both tied together with the tape, and they're doing the yay boo stuff, and it just sums up everything. They are caught together in this feud, but they were brothers. Really nice physical display of the narrative.
But then we get a dick kick. So
yeah. Another dick kick.
Another dick kick. Crotch shot to the back. Powerbomb into the knees for a great near fall. And this is where I've noticed that the crowd is now on their feet. And now this is, as you said, last sort of 7 minutes or so, this is when the crowd really started to kind of pick up.
It's when the near falls started to come. I don't know if that's part of it.
I think you're probably right. And then there's just lots of slaps and wonderful stuff. You get the lawn dart into the exposed turnbuckle, the DIY kick. He does the pose. Great kick out. The crowd is in disbelief.
Yeah, well, that's another tiny bit of criticism. Because great exposed turnbuckle lawn dart, great super kick, another great super kick, Ciampa kick out. I was like, that was a great near fall. You don't see Gargano's reaction, because as soon as that kick out happens, it's showing me someone in the crowd. And that, for once, the person was reacting the right way. They weren't just on their phone like they sometimes are on Raw. But I didn't want to see that guy. I want to see Gargano be like, oh, what do I have to do? These crowd reaction shots, individual crowd reaction shots, need to go away.
As a great example, as a great comparison piece, you remember maybe it's because we've just reviewed WrestleMania 25, but when Taker hits that tombstone and Shawn Michaels kicks out, and you get that zoom in on Undertaker's face of disbelief, where it's like, oh no,
his eyes are bulging. It's a famous image. Just search Undertaker Shawn Michaels, and that image will come up.
But imagine if after that you'd have cut to someone in the crowd instead going, oh my god, like it's not as effective as Undertaker selling that instead.
I mean, you occasionally you strike gold. Occasionally you get the Mizgel. Occasionally you get the guy when the Undertaker's streak ended. But that hit rate is very low. And why would you want to put the focus on people in the crowd when you can get your performers over even more? If they're so concerned about the crowd only having so much heat or like pops in them, I don't know.
I thought the crowd.
But it is nitpicking.
I thought the crowd were really interesting here as well, because it almost felt like they just had no idea what was going to be happening next, because the crowd it became murmurs. It almost became that you're talking to the person next to you being like, I have no idea what's going to happen. And it was a really interesting reaction. It's not a typical wrestling reaction where it was like going, hey, it was almost like, oh my God, I don't know what's going to happen next. I genuinely don't know what's going to happen next. We then get some, so Gargano is on the top rope and they do some punches, and then he does his powerbomb into the knees off the top. I don't know if it was off the top rope, but it was off the second rope, I believe.
Project Ciampa.
Yeah. And it was another great kick-out spot there.
Yeah.
I genuinely thought that was the end.
Mm-hmm.
I totally bought into that as the finish. And then Ciampa exposes his own knee. He takes off his knee brace, and he goes to... I don't know what he was going to do to Gargano.
Probably a knee.
Probably,
to the head.
Yeah, it's probably a knee to the head. But Gargano just smashes the brace into his injured knee, or his previously injured knee. He grabs the crutch. I love this ending.
Yeah.
This ending is so cool because he grabs the crutch and he snaps it in half. And it looks like he's planning on stabbing Ciampa because he just holds it. And the commentators are like, this is getting a bit much now.
I didn't know what he was doing. When he snapped it in half, I was like, well, are you going to... Why would you snap it in half? Are you going to... Does it give you more momentum? I had no idea he was going to turn around and try and impale Ciampa's head on it. Like, that's where this feud has gotten to. And that's... This was the best part of the match, and probably the best thing on the show, this last bit, because it's just beautiful. Gargano goes for that spike shot, but he stops, and he realises what he's done, and that is when Ciampa loses. Ciampa loses there. He doesn't get pinned for another 2 minutes, and he still tries to get one up, but that is the moment he crushes inside, because Ciampa is just looking up at him, and they're staring at each other for ages, aren't they? Gargano slowly lowers the brace, realising what he's become, the crutch, and Ciampa himself is sad. Ciampa's facials are incredible here. He just looks so tormented. I have no idea what personal torment he's drawing on there, but it was so realistic. And then Gargano just sits down next to Ciampa, and they're just both there.
It's the Cruiserweight Classic all over again.
Yeah.
Loved this.
But Ciampa is still evil. And he got the knee brace and went for Gargano, but it was half-hearted. Like he lost in that moment when he realised and he saw what they've both become, and that's as soon as he went for the knee brace strike, Gargano countered it into a submission. Gargano escaped, but then he turned it into like an STF
with the knee brace
on the bad knee with the knee brace in the crossface position, and Ciampa tapped out immediately. And he taps out immediately because, like I said, he's already lost. Incredible.
As I said it on Twitter last night, I've never been more happy to be wrong about getting a prediction wrong. It was such a perfect ending to this match because we both went with Ciampa, but it was just such a great ending. And it's a match that at the time of watching, I was in that mode of just it wasn't the match I was expecting. And I think you're right. I think I do need to go back and rewatch this match because the more I think about it, the more I love every single element of this and just really enjoy the story and the match that they put together. It wasn't what I was expecting, and that is my fault. But it was such a beautifully told match, and I was just as I said, the more I think about it, the more I love it.
Yeah. And Candice LeRae comes down at the end, celebrates with Gargano. Gargano's got his job back, of course. But you know what? I've been poisoned too many times by these NXT copyright logos. And I was like, Candice isn't turning on. Is she? No, Candice. So what a show. What a show. What a tremendous... every match apart from the women's match. And even that had a really good story. But... the NXT title change almost feels like that was ages ago, but that's a huge thing. Aleister Black is the champion. That's enormous. We got a fantastic ladder match with Adam Cole becoming the inaugural North American champion. We got the title change with Shayna Baszler. We got Roderick Strong siding with Undisputed Era and creating a new faction there. And we got Gargano getting the feel-good victory and reinstated into NXT. Everything paid off very well and set up interesting directions for the future.
Brian Alvarez once said that he's never seen a bad takeover, and that streak continues. I've never seen a bad takeover show.
I've never seen an average takeover
show.
No,
absolutely not.
Everything is above average to excellent.
And here we are once again as wrestling fans. Just as soon as NXT TakeOver show finishes, you just look at the show that's coming the night after the main roster show, and you're just like, you can't follow it. You cannot follow it. You have got 13 matches with some of the biggest stars on the planet. You can't follow that show. And you could try, but you're going to really, really struggle because holy hell, What a show overall.
It's in awe.
It's in awe.
5 out of 5.
SmackDown.
Well, that is all we've got time for this review. We'll be back tomorrow with our WrestleMania review.
WrestleMania tonight!
Woo-hoo!
Yeah!
But click the videos beneath us to catch up with the latest WrestleTalk news and WrestleRamble. And, of course, subscribe to this channel. That's a great thing to do. And the podcast, wherever you get your podcasts, for some exclusive intros and outros stuff.
Ollie's going to talk about his new haircut.
I've been Ollie Davis. This has been Luke Owen. And that was Rambling.